Did you know that Reforged Eden 2 is already out and available to play? Well, let me tell you all about it. Reforged Eden is by far the most popular mod for Empyrion galactic survival. This scenario is widely considered the best way to play Empyrion, and now far surpasses the vanilla game in content and features. But it's not finished. So why are the creators of Reforged Eden scrapping it to make Reforged Eden 2? Well, the main reason is so that they can completely separate Reforged Eden from the vanilla game configs. By writing their own configs from scratch, they have direct control over weapons and devices and the balancing of them. It also means that whenever Empyrion, the developers of the game itself, make any changes to their configs, it doesn't inadvertently break Reforged Eden. They're also using this opportunity to redo a bunch of POIs with new features for Reforged Eden 2 and new missions, make a lot of general improvements to the mod. So how can you play Reforged Eden 2 now? Well, first of all, understand that the version of Reforged Eden 2 on the workshop right now is very early alpha and only intended for testing and feedback. But there's a link in the video description to Reforged Eden 2 on the Steam Workshop. So if you want a sneak peek, why not go take a look for yourself? I know from speaking with Revian directly and also keeping up with the chatter on my own Discord about the progress of Reforged Eden 2 that it is still some ways off from replacing Reforged Eden 1 on the workshop. At this time, Revian is working full time on the mod while he is off from work. So progress is quick right now, but when he returns to work, that's obviously going to slow down again. Right now you can create ships and builds with Reforged Eden 2's blocks and devices, but don't expect that build to be ready to go when Reforged Eden 2 rolls out the door. There is likely going to be adjustments, changes to many of the custom blocks and devices that could impact builds you create today. You can start the Reforged Eden 2 scenario. Just select creative in the mode here to start a creative mode game and play around with all the new stuff. See if you can modify your current builds or start from scratch. On the work page for Reforged Eden 2, we can see the current progress of development, what's in and done, and what's still being worked on. So you can see it's still a long road ahead. You can also see what's actually going to be changed in Reforged Eden 2 by this rough to-do list. We can help as well, because Revian is asking for testers to try out the new starts on Akura and Omicron. Feedback any bugs, problems, or suggestions via the Steam page comments. Now, there are some things you may be worried about when it comes to Reforged Eden 2, especially for those of you that like to build your own ships or have a set of ships that you like to use. Due to the changes to weapons, CPU, power, ships, well, pretty much everything, your current ships will probably not work in Reforged Eden 2, and retrofitting them may not be entirely worthwhile. Empyrion, the other developer of Reforged Eden, has changed every aspect of how ships work in Reforged Eden 2. For example, combat steel blocks now give a bonus to shields, so having lightweight, fast, heavily shielded fighters may now be more difficult to achieve. On the flip side, having a giant dreadnought with layer upon layer of combat steel and about 200,000 shields may become a more plausible approach to some enemies. There's hundreds of little changes like this in Reforged Eden 2, but we only know about them so far through bits of information gleaned from Discord chatter and occasional change notes. We'll have to wait for the full list of changes when the scenario finally releases. For now though, at least for those of us that take months to complete a build, we can at least make a start in the alpha. So when is Reforged Eden 2 coming out? Difficult to say. Progress ebbs and flows depending on how much time Revian and Vermilion can put into it, but you can keep track of progress on the Steam page and even help speed things up by doing some testing for them when they add the new stuff in. For now, my best guess would be Q3, Q4 of this year for the experimental release, and Q2 of 2025 for the stable. Now, let's take a quick look at some of the new stuff in Reforged Eden 2. Now, there's not much of a game under the hood yet. Basically, just Akura and Omicron are the ones that are they're in testing right now. And we can actually glean quite a lot of information just from looking through the item menu. Now, in here, we can see a lot of the Reforged Galaxy stuff. This is the stuff that Vermilion works on and adds in. I covered a lot of this in a previous video that I'll link here. You can go and check it out if you want, but I'm not going to repeat myself in this video. Suffice to say, we went through all of these weapon systems and had a good look at them, and they look amazing. However, here we can see them side by side with the Project Eden weapon systems. That's the stuff that Revion works on. And so we have a complete arsenal of sort of ship weapons and types like that. You can see most of the additions here are the Reforged Galaxy stuff, the stuff that Vermilion has added in, such as the rocket pods and plasma cannons and so on and so forth. All new models, and they look fantastic. Do check out that video if you've not seen them before. And then everything else is kind of like what we have already seen in the current version of Reforged Eden. You can see that they've added new models and icons for a lot of things, so that's always nice to see. And if we continue to scroll through this, we've got new icons for the ore scanner and night vision. Starhawk pistols had an overview. There's the new blaster that Empyrion added in, actually. And then we've got, there's just loads of little icon changes and stuff here, but I think most of this is kind of like existing or tweaked existing ammunition to fit the new weapons that Vermilion has added in. But it's going to take a little getting used to all this new stuff. That's just the weapons. Blocks, we can see we've now got shapeable lava blocks. I think it's probably for creative use, though. The structured ramps are in as normal. Everything else looks pretty much the same. And then we've got a huge number of changes here under all the materials and the components category here. Auto miner cores, look at that. They look so cool. Wooden logs, planks, everything. Pentaxid crystal and stuff has even got its own icons now. They are trying to sort of really move away from vanilla config as much as they can here, aren't they? So you can see they've changed the icon of almost everything. There's a lot of stuff that's still got the default icons on, but this is going to take a lot of getting used to the whole new. Okay, what does copper bars look like again? There it is. But we can also see from here we're going to have new civilian clothing, military clothing, work clothing. These are going to be probably trade commodities that we can do trading with rather than like wear ourselves, unfortunately. Although I would love to go around in a luxury suit. That would be amazing. I'd look dope. And then we've got all of our custom ores from the ore mining and stuff like that. And this all starts to look very similar. Then, yeah, VIP crew, high-end polymers. This is all part of the war and industry update. Lots of the commodities that you can trade. And then we have a look at the devices tab. And most of it, on the face of it, looks kind of the same. You'll see some auto miners have got new models and stuff, but I think that's Empyrion rather than Vermilion or Revion. And then we start to see some changes. And we start to see some new stuff. Now, CPU has gone a little overhaul here. So we're going to have to redo the CPU on any ships that we want to retrofit. And that's why I kind of say that maybe you want to start from scratch. Because relearning how the CPU works in Reforged Eden 2 is going to be a bit of a step. But let me filter here by capital vessels so that we get a little bit more of a focused view on all the new devices. New plasma turbines. Again, I do go over them in that video I was talking about. They replace solar panels on ships. And now we've got like 3 different flavors of thruster, from ion to antimatter and plasma. Various cost, performances, and things like that between all of them. Ion being the lowest of the tier, plasma being in the middle, antimatter being high tier thrusters. So you're going to have to... I don't know how this is going to work. I mean, we've already kind of categorized our ships into starter, mid-game, end-game, right? And now the thrusters are going to be starter, mid-game, end-game in various flavors as well, because you've still got small, medium, large, extra large in 3 different flavors. So it's going to be interesting to see the impact on the building community that these different thruster configurations have. Also, new small fusion reactor as well. We're used to the 5x5x5 monstrosity that is the current large fusion reactor, but having a 3x3x3 Small fusion reactor means that you know, we have more options available for powering our vessels in smaller footprints. We don't have to build such large ships to house this monstrosity, you know. And then we can carry on down, and we've got our quantum storage, which is basically is a storage extension that goes beyond the current storage limits. And then more CPU extenders here, including quantum, which no doubt costs a huge amount of resources. Universal constructor, which I think builds absolutely everything. Phased array radar, long-range radar with a fancy name. Compact gravity generator. There you go. Small vessels and hover vessels can have gravity generators on them now. Look at that. Beautiful. And then we start to see some stuff for POIs, like their new spherical shield generators, which look wonderful, and I've gone over before. The bay, drone bay here, there's one for space and for planets. So the planetary one, storage bay for planetary drones, will function in space, but too slow for practical use. And then the space one will function on planets, but the drones have no object avoidance on planets, so will crash into the ground. So you want to make sure you get those correct around the right way, huh? And then we see a lot of the hydroponic bays and stuff that we're used to. Okay. But there we go, ladies and gents. I mean, you know, this is a nice little look into a potential future there. I know this is a very quick overview. I don't want to get into that actual building in this video, but certainly going to have a look at building something for Reforged Eden 2 in the very near future, and I hope you guys join me for that. So what are you looking forward to in Reforged Eden 2? Or perhaps you have some concerns or questions you'd like answered. As always, I'd love to chat with you in the comments below. Thanks for watching, and hopefully I'll see you next time. Till then, take care. Bye-bye.